DuPont hid C8 toxicity data for over 50 years. C8 contaminated Parkersburg, West Virginia's water supply for decades. A farmer named Tennant lost 190 cattle before anyone investigated. DuPont settled 3,535 personal injury cases for $671 million total. The EPA issued its then-record fine of $16.5 million in 2005. C8 is perfluoroctanoic acid, a synthetic chemical with no natural precedent. Manufacturers use it to make surfaces non-stick and water-resistant. DuPont began manufacturing C8 at its Washington Works plant in 1951. Within a year, DuPont's own industrial hygienist flagged worker health concerns. A 1961 internal memo classified C8 as toxic and warned of liver damage. That memo stayed inside DuPont's files for the next 4 decades. DuPont studied C8's effects on pregnant workers in the late 1970s. 2 of 7 exposed pregnant workers gave birth to children with birth defects. DuPont did not report this finding to regulators or the public. By 1984, company studies confirmed C8 accumulated in human blood permanently. C8 does not break down in the body or in the environment ever. Internal documents show DuPont knew it was polluting the Ohio River as early as 1984. The company discharged C8-laden sludge into the Dry Run Creek landfill. That creek fed directly into farmland owned by the Tennant family. Farmer Wilbur Tennant began losing cattle in the early 1990s. By the late 1990s, 190 of his cattle had perished under suspicious circumstances. Tennant filmed his dying animals on VHS tape as first-hand evidence. He approached environmental attorney Robert Bilott in 1998 for help. Bilott subpoenaed DuPont and received 110,000 pages of internal documents. Those documents revealed DuPont had concealed decades of C8 safety data. One key document, DuPont's own 1984 risk assessment flagging C8's systemic toxicity. Another showed DuPont knew C8 was present in community drinking water by 1984. DuPont had tested the Parkersburg water supply and never disclosed the results. C8 had been measurable in the local water supply since the early 1980s. Bilott wrote directly to the EPA in 2001 detailing DuPont's concealment. The EPA opened a formal investigation into DuPont shortly afterward. The EPA found DuPont had violated TSCA by withholding substantial risk information. TSCA Section 8E requires companies to report any known substantial risk immediately. DuPont had been sitting on qualifying studies since at least 1981. In August 2004, the EPA proposed a $16.5 million penalty against DuPont. The $16.5 million fine was the largest civil administrative penalty in EPA history at the time. For context, DuPont's annual profit that year was approximately $2.2 billion. Critics noted the fine amounted to less than 1 week of DuPont's profits. Meanwhile, a class action lawsuit was forming in Parkersburg in 2001. The suit alleged DuPont knowingly contaminated the drinking water of 70,000 people. DuPont settled that class action in 2004 for $107 million. The settlement funded an independent C8 Health Project science panel. Epidemiologists studied 69,000 people from the contaminated area over 7 years. In 2011 and 2012, the panel issued its findings on 6 diseases. The panel established a probable link between C8 and kidney cancer. The panel also linked C8 to testicular cancer, ulcerative colitis, thyroid disease, high cholesterol, and pregnancy-induced hypertension. These findings unlocked the right for class members to sue DuPont individually. By 2015, 3,500 personal injury cases against DuPont were consolidated in federal court. DuPont lost the first 3 bellwether trials in 2015 and 2016. The jury awarded $1.6 million in the first bellwether case for testicular cancer. Facing thousands more trials, DuPont agreed to a $671 million global settlement in 2017. That settlement covered 3,535 individual plaintiffs with documented C8-linked illnesses. DuPont had by then spun off its chemical operations into a new company called Chemours. Chemours assumed substantial liability from the C8 litigation under the spin-off agreement. Chemours and DuPont later disputed responsibility in additional litigation between themselves. C8 has since been phased out, but its chemical successors raise parallel concerns. Gen X, DuPont, and Chemours' C8 replacement was later found in North Carolina drinking water. The EPA began regulating PFAS chemicals as a class under the Safe Drinking Water Act in 2024. The 2024 PFAS rule set maximum contaminant levels at 4 parts per trillion for PFOA. C8 is now detectable in the blood of virtually every American ever tested. Robert Bilott wrote a memoir about the case, published in 2019. The 2019 film Dark Waters dramatized his 2-decade fight against DuPont. DuPont has denied wrongdoing in public statements while settling cases. Parkersburg residents continue monitoring their health for the 6 probable link diseases. The Tennant farmland still borders the former DuPont waste disposal site. The TSCA Section 80 reporting window that DuPont violated still runs only 90 days. Reformers argue the penalty cap under TSCA remains inadequate relative to corporate profit. The pattern here is not unique: internal knowledge, delayed disclosure, settled liability. Each settlement ends individual cases, but the regulatory gaps enabling concealment remain open. The receipts in this case ran to 110,000 pages, and DuPont filed most of them itself. If this one landed, the Pint-Sized Scandals archive has the receipts on every case like it. Subscribe so you catch the next filing.